Cool. Hi, everyone. So I am Michelle, and this is Marina. We're the Flipping Gals, and today we want to talk with these guys. We're very excited. I've been using their tool for a little while now, and it's been super awesome. So we want to get to know you guys and why you do what you do, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So why don't we start by introducing you guys, Marina? Okay, so welcome Thomas Rivas. He is the CEO. Thomas Rivas is a founder and CEO of Vendoo. He has long been involved in the reselling space, as he started selling on eBay since high school back in 2007. He graduated from the University of Maryland with a double major in international business and marketing. After college, he took some programming courses to get some technical experience and built some web and native apps. And Josh Dzime-Assison, I hope I said that correctly. I'm sorry,
Close.
Josh.
Dzime-Assison. Yeah.
Assison, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. Josh Dzime-Assison. Josh is a successful full-time reseller and has been doing so for over 10 years. He has run multiple blogs and social media accounts for large companies. He was previously the owner of a physical sneaker store and has worked as an image consultant and stylist for numerous musicians and professional athletes. He is currently leading the Vendoo marketing team, running the social media, handling the content creation, as well as customer service. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you
for having us.
Thanks for being here today. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about both of you, and then talking about the company and why you started Vendoo.
Sure. So a little bit about myself. Like you said, I've been reselling since high school, 2007. I wasn't even 18 when I created my account, but I was part of that, sneakerhead community. So like I always, I got sneakers on eBay for a cheap price, and I would resell them back on eBay again. And yeah, a little bit about how I started Vendoo. I was in college, needed some extra money, and there were more marketplaces, once I was in college. I used to sell on eBay. Now I also sell on Grailed. And there wasn't like a solution to easily post, an item twice. They asked pretty much the same questions, the pictures, the title, and there was no solution for that. For the smaller resellers, there's enterprise level solutions, but nothing for smaller sellers. And that's kind of where the idea came from. So that's a little bit about myself and the company.
So yeah, I'll jump in. I'm Josh. I also come from like a sneaker background. So I was a huge sneaker collector. I was active on a lot of sneaker forums and message boards. I was blogging for a long time, and I turned that into a sneaker resale business. So I opened a store in the Maryland area in 2007. I was 20 years old. I ran that for a few years, and then basically after the recession hit, I realized it might be a little bit smarter for me to sell the things I was selling online, because the traffic of retail was slowing down a little bit. So I really dove full-time into selling things online. I started selling on mainly like eBay. I opened my own website, and between then and now, I've sold on every platform possible. I still sell on about 5 or 6 now. So I sell on eBay, I sell on Grailed, Poshmark, Mercari, Etsy, even Instagram. I sell everywhere that there's customers pretty much. And I guess when Thomas approached me about the idea for Vendoo, it seemed like it solved all of the problems that I was experiencing personally with trying to manage an online sales business, and then the problem of trying to scale that business and make it larger and more profitable. So I think because of that, I was really drawn to the idea, and we were off to the races.
Very cool. And so how did you guys meet?
So I knew about Josh, I'm sorry. I call him Dizzy sometimes.
Okay.
That's the nickname that I go by.
That's his nickname. Sorry. But yeah, I knew Josh. We were kind of like, so he actually like lived like 10, 15 minutes away from me, but we had lots of mutual friends. He's pretty famous in our area for for his reselling. He's a big reseller in the DC area. So I approached him because as a founder, I was looking for what weaknesses I have to try to build a good team around me. And I'm pretty bad at social media, like at posting. Like my personal account sucks. So I thought he was resale business and social media experience. I thought he was a great addition. So I just he had a pop-up store. I kind of I went out, reached out to him and there in person and asked him if, told him about the idea, and we got, some food in like a week later, and he was on board. So that's kind of how we
That's
met.
how you met Josh. And then you guys also have 2 other members, right? Chris Amador, who's the CTO, and Ben Martinez, who's the COO.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did you guys meet each other?
Sure. So I know Ben since like elementary school. So we actually played soccer on like the same team, and he's always, very hungry and disciplined person. And I thought he was a great addition to the team. And actually, Ben and Chris kind of knew each other. So like I recruited Ben first, and then we needed a technical person. Like that was kind of a big blocker for us. And he was like, hey, I know somebody, I think they were in the same fraternity, and yeah, he reached out to him, and Chris joined. So that's kind of how the team got started.
It seems like a perfect team. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was probably about 3 years ago that we really started everything.
2017. 2017, yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. How did you guys come up with the name? Does it have any significance?
Yeah.
What does it
mean? So that was me just playing around with just fun names that are fun to say, and something to do with like reselling. So I was looking up fun names that kind of had to do with selling, and I came along with Vendoo, VNDU, with the U. That means sold in French. However, eBay owned that domain. Like if you go to vndu.com, eBay owns that. So I was advised, like, don't kind of mess with a big corporation. So I kind of put played around with the word and just put 2 O's, and that's kind of how the name came along. So
that's really cool, because when I see your name, and I mean, and if you do know like either Spanish, French, Italian, or Portuguese, or Latin, it does mean like to sell. Like
yeah,
exactly.
Vend is to sell in every language.
Yeah, so it's very, I love your name because it's so, like, it tells you exactly what you do, and it's catchy, and it's, yeah, it is catchy.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. I'm glad you guys like the name. It caused me lots of sleepless nights trying to think of a good name.
Yeah, it's the perfect name. It's cool. All right, so why don't we kind of go through what your service offers, because maybe a lot of people don't know about you guys. Frankly, I initially I didn't know about the tool, and as I started using it, I was like, oh my god, why haven't this exist like in the past? It saves you so much time. And yesterday I realized there's a D-list and there's a relist button that does everything for you, which is quite amazing. So would you guys mind sharing like how it works, and
Sure.
what you're looking at in the future, perhaps?
Okay, so I'll take that one. Basically, what we did was we saw that posting on a few different sites is very time consuming, very tedious and repetitive. So we built a platform that basically consolidated all of the listing forms from those various websites and combined them down into one listing form so that you can list on 4 marketplaces at the same time. So you can do everything from creating a new listing and posting it on eBay, Poshmark, Etsy, and Mercari very quickly and easily. You can import existing items from any of those marketplaces. So say you're a Poshmark seller, and that's where most of your items are located. You can import them to Vendoo and then easily put them on all the other sites. You can manage. So we're building out features to work on managing inventory, data, and analytics, and even in the future, we're going to get to shipping and messages and things like that, so that we can be the one-stop shop for an online reseller and basically allow people to run their whole businesses without having to leave our website.
Yeah, our mission, like our motto is kind of help sellers, save them time, and always make them more money. So like kind of every decision we make is kind of based on that. How can we save sellers time? How can we help them make more money? So every decision we make is with that. We want to help from like the whole process, from from the sourcing all the way to like the shipping. That's our vision, you know. Obviously we're just getting started. This is we're in beta right now, so we're just getting started. So yeah, we have a long way more to go. Sorry?
How long have you been in beta?
We launched in mid-July. We launched with a closed beta just because we didn't want to have too many people, too many bugs. So we kind of launched with a small group first, and then we opened up like a month later in August. So yeah.
And currently your service is free currently.
Correct.
Right.
Wow. That's amazing.
It'll be free until 2020.
Until 2020.
Enjoy.
Well, and it's such a pain point too, like to have as a reseller, because sourcing is fun. I don't know about listing, it takes a lot of time, especially if you're selling across different platforms. So I am so glad that this tool exists. And I'm sure a lot of other resellers feel the same way.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I personally felt that way as we were building, and I feel the same excitement that the users feel, because I'm also using Vendoo for my business. So in addition to being a part of the company and seeing it progress step by step from the beginning, I'm still excited because each new feature allows me to do something in my business that I couldn't do before. So I think that's kind of why it works really well, because we're not only the creators, but we're also using it, which gives us a perspective. We have a good perspective of what the users are feeling, and then a good perspective of kind of like a roadmap of what we need to create and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was the fun fact. My item was the first item that sold on Vendoo, luckily. So yeah.
What item was that, if you don't mind?
It was some sneakers, some Adidas sneakers. So yeah, it was pretty cool getting. It actually worked.
Exactly. That was the intended purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So both of you are still currently reselling now.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
he does a lot more.
I went from selling, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I went from selling full-time, which is literally like, I mean, you guys know what a seller's life looks like, but it might've been 10 hours a day or something for me maybe, to now working on Vendoo that many hours and trying to resell in my spare time. Luckily, Vendoo's saving time and it's cutting down the listing time and all those things that were taking me hours and hours to do manually. But my main focus is Vendoo, and then I resell when I can.
Yeah, and I've always been like a casual reseller. I've never been, full-time. I just sell stuff just to, get some extra cash whenever I find a nice little come up in the thrift store or on Nordstrom Rack. I'll just resell that and make some nice cash. So, but I'm dedicated full-time also to Vendoo.
So have you guys noticed, since you've been in the reselling business for so long, what are the trends? How have they changed since you guys started about 10 years ago?
So for me, I think the biggest thing is when I first started thrifting and going to thrift stores and doing all those type of things in the early 2000s, it was almost a little bit taboo. People were very secretive about it. Nobody was saying, hey, I got my items from Goodwill for $4 and I'm selling it. People were a little bit more secretive with the information. They weren't sharing. So as I've seen the reseller community progress up until now, it's turned into a very close-knit, helpful sharing community where everybody is very comfortable giving tips and tricks away to people, helping with information. It's almost like a group. It's a very tight-knit group. And before, I think a lot of sellers were operating as individuals, kind of doing their own thing, but not really tapping into a base of people that were like-minded and working on something similar. So I think the community aspect is something that's kind of really contributed to the growth of reselling as a whole.
Also, the biggest difference I would say from when I started was just before, when I used to sell, it used to be just eBay. There was no other marketplaces. Now, I mean, that's pretty much why we created Vendoo, because of all the marketplaces. So that's one thing. Definitely more, it's also more competitive. I think, like Poshmark, Mercari, they've made reselling a lot easier. So there's definitely a lot more people that are just, reselling just because of how easy it is. So that's another big change that's happened in the last years.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, because we both started reselling. Like my eBay account is from the 90s. Mm-hmm. And yours. Yeah. 2000. Yeah. I don't even know what selling in the 90s? Like, a pen, books. I have no idea, but but it's true. Like I can see that part. Kind of, I saw it growing recently. Like Mercari, like you said, Poshmark. There's OfferUp, which is kind of Facebook Marketplace, right?
Yeah, local. Yeah.
They're both local. Although I think they recently added shipping, right? Facebook.
Yeah, I think they did. Actually, I think OfferUp recently added shipping. Yeah.
And then OfferUp too. So so us, like, we only recently started reselling this year. Well, a year ago, and we did it because we bought a new home and we had to build a brand new backyard. And instead of taking the money from like our paychecks, we watched Gary Vee. Do you guys know Gary Vee?
Yeah, of course.
I actually was on Gary Vee talking about Vendoo last year.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Okay, so you know him personally.
Right.
So he actually does this YouTube series called Trash Talk. Are you guys familiar? Familiar. So he would just go to garage sale and say, hey, you can get these plush toys and sell them on eBay for like $50. We bought a lot of Beanie Babies that we had to give away doing that. We didn't make any profit. But long story short, we were able to make enough money within less than a year to pay off a brand new backyard that we got made in our new home.
Congratulations.
So thank you. That was our first year reselling, and it was just part-time. We both have secular jobs. And of course, like, for a part-time person, we totally missed you guys at Poshmark or Poshfest, but we were there. And hopefully we'll catch you next time. But it seems like most of the resellers there are part-timers. From
yeah, exactly.
Did you guys find that out as well?
So what we're seeing is reselling is starting to become one of those legitimate sources of second income, a lot like Uber or Airbnb, or just different things that people are finding to kind of give them a little boost in additional income. A lot of people didn't know until recently that reselling was something legitimate that they can actually get into and make money pretty quickly with low overhead. It's a very, there's not a big barrier of entry, so it's easy to get in. You can start with a few items and build your way up from there. So we're seeing that a lot of people are interested in at least trying it out, and that's another one of the things that's happening as the reseller industry is growing, is we're seeing a lot more commercials for apps like Poshmark and commercials for Mercari on TV, and people are it's creating this awareness that's allowing people to jump in and give it a try that weren't familiar before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. And thanks for sharing that. And as like a new person, I would get on eBay and list something, and then I'd really hate having to go on another platform and do it again. It's super time consuming and tedious. And with your service, you don't have to worry about that anymore, right? You could just get on your app, you do it one time, and then you, like, I'll let you talk about it, and then you copy it across the platforms, right?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of like the information carries over to the next one and the next one. So you can edit it, or you can just, go ahead and just fill out the ones that you really need to fill out for those, the required ones pretty much for each marketplace. So exactly. Yeah. And we actually try to simplify it, because we know like the eBay listing form can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. So we kind of like hid the ones that weren't required by eBay. So like if you don't even want to fill those out, then you don't have to, but we try to simplify it even more for all the, the newer sellers. So
I think another cool thing is, we just started a year ago, but as you go sourcing, you start to pile up inventory. And if you don't set up like a good inventory system, it's chaotic. And it takes a long time to kind of, sometimes you sell it on one platform, and then, and then you forgot to remove it from another platform, and then you run into trouble. So the cool thing about your tool is it allows you to keep track of your inventory too.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And yeah, we're just getting started on inventory. We want to dive a whole lot more into inventory management. We want to help with, like, see what your costs are, see when it sells, what it's sold for, even like analytics, what's selling more. Is it like, like sneakers? Is it jackets? Keep up with the trends. So we want to get into all of that, but you gotta
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere, exactly.
But I'm so glad that you're mentioning that and you're looking ahead, because you're, you know, as resellers, you do know exactly what the problems or issues are. It sounds like you're speaking to what our needs are.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's so cool. Like, we can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, and that's actually something I want to mention to everybody that's like, you know, listening in on this. Just when you use the platform, give us feedback. You know, don't be afraid to, you know, just hit us up on Instagram, on the little chat that's on the app. You can email us at hello@Vendoo. Just tell us, you know, if something's not working or what features you would like to see. Because, you know, we love to hear that, because we're really like, we want to build this like product for you guys like together. So yeah, if you guys think of new features, please don't hesitate to let us
Would
know.
you mind saying the name of that email one more time?
Yeah, sure. It's hello@vendoo.co.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And so that actually kind of takes us into, what are some of the best features of your app? You already named having to not spend time, because time is money, right, on filling out unnecessary parts of the eBay form, which is crazy difficult and overwhelming. So yeah. So what are some other features that you like about your app?
I think that people are really, really enjoying and getting a lot of value out of the delist and relist features. When we were building it, we knew that the delisting was important. You mentioned it before, but you said you might sell something on one platform and forget to delist it off another site. And we're working now to create a way to do auto delisting so that you don't even have to go in and do it yourself. We wanted the websites to be able to recognize each other's inventory, and if one thing sells, it takes it down off the other sites. So we were very conscious of delisting from the beginning. But after we built the delist feature, we got a lot of feedback very quickly saying we also need a relist feature. And that goes into the way people run their Poshmark businesses. Sometimes they feel like an item's been sitting for too long and they don't want to keep dropping the price too low. So it's easier to just relist it at the original price and hope to find new buyers and new interested watchers and things like that. So that relist feature we saw was something that people were really loving. Also, the import feature, I think, also is very helpful, being able to bring in your existing listing so that you don't have to start over from zero once you join Vendoo. You can kind of already have the base of what you've listed and then go from there. So I think those two are probably the most helpful, or the ones that have been saving sellers the most time at this point.
And that goes actually exactly into what I was talking about before, because those weren't actually like on our roadmap. When we started, you know, Vendoo, we kind of had like our own roadmap, but people gave us feedback. They're like, hey, we want to import. And then we got like a ton of people saying we want to import. So we were like, all right, let's give them what they want. And like, you know, and also the same with the delist and relist, like we didn't have those coming up, but you know, whatever the people say, you know, we build. So that's kind of how those came along. But those have definitely been like super helpful features that we know resellers are loving. So
Now, do you actually work with the different platforms, or is it purely on program, like you just program it on back end on your own? Do you work with like eBay or Mercari at all?
So
sure,
eBay, we actually went to them and spoke with them early on in the process just to show them what we were building, and they loved it. They were very interested. But the way their website is set up, we didn't need their permission or anything like that, but we still showed them what we were building just so that they could be familiar with it. But we do everything basically just the way that the website is built and the code is built. We don't have to work with the marketplaces. We can just build a software that's compatible with the marketplaces.
That's great.
exactly.
It's awesome. So along the way, what were some of the challenges? I'm sure, you know, any business you would encounter challenge. What would be some of the key challenges and what you've learned? If you don't mind sharing that with us, you know, everyone wants to learn something new.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's been a bunch of challenges. I mean, we started in 2017 and we're just launching beta now. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a picture of the challenge, you know, how hard it was. But definitely the two biggest challenges, I would say, they kind of go like hand in hand, is a technical, like that technical ability to actually build out this platform. Because we tried like different solutions and one was just way too buggy. So we kind of scrapped that, started over. And then, you know, we finally got this solution to work. We found this to be the best solution, but that also has to do with like the funding part of it, you know, because we were all working like, other jobs. So we couldn't focus full time. So we couldn't really, we weren't, all, I guess we were always all in, but we just didn't have the time to, work 40 hours, 40 plus hours on this. So that,
Well, I mean, even in
those were the two
addition
biggest problems.
sorry, Tommy. I was going to say, even in addition to working other jobs, that definitely eliminates the amount of hours that we can work together on this project. But we were also funding everything out of pocket for a long time, which got really expensive really quickly. Anyone that's into any kind of tech knows that developers are extremely expensive. So it took a while for us to find the right developers, the right fit for our team. I think also other challenges we've had, just getting used to like the four personalities of the team and all of us being able to figure out what our roles and responsibilities were and how to coexist with each other, so we're not stepping on each other's toes. Everybody's getting done what they're supposed to get done. So there's all those things that you encounter early when you're starting a business. And I think it took us a little while to do some of that, figure out the funding, figure out the scheduling. How can we create enough time to build this? And then once we got kind of over some of those initial speed bumps, I think it's been progressing a lot faster since then.
Yep.
Awesome. Wow, that really does give you an insight to how you overcame some really major obstacles, and you guys don't all live like near each other, right? You live.
So originally we do. We're all from the DC area, so we're all like within suburbs of DC, a few minutes from each other. But at the moment, we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually in Colombia, the country right now, just because
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I'm
Wow.
taking a very low salary, so I found it, a lot better to just live out here where my rent's $300 a month, and so yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but thankfully, technology is good enough where we're like, actually Chris was living here last month also, our CTO, he was living out here. We were working together, full time on this, and with technology, it's a lot less barriers. We can just video chat, Slack, everything. So it's a lot easier now.
I want to congratulate you guys for creating this tool. It's been reselling has, like, eBay has existed for so many years and no one has ever created anything like this. So I think for you guys to get this far, that's already a success. So
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
so
it.
excited about using it more. I don't mind paying for it. So, yeah. Okay. So do you guys have any competitors, speaking of that? And
so we actually do. There's a few in I guess in the past year or two, there's been a few different companies that have started developing similar software. I would say that our most direct competitor would be List Perfectly. I know a lot of the users are familiar with them. But honestly, I think that our software is a little bit different. So it's allowed us to kind of stick to our roadmap and keep developing the way we've been developing without having to kind of veer off course too much based off of what they're doing.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, the user experience is awesome. It's so streamlined. You don't have to jump from one window to another window. So, yeah.
Thank you. Actually,
that's mainly our goal. I think a lot of the value in saving time is just keeping you in one place, being able to do everything from one place. I think with the manual cross-posting way that a lot of sellers are used to doing, you're copy pasting things, you're opening a bunch of tabs, you're doing all these things. Each one of those clicks takes additional time. So we think keeping you in one place and having a workflow that's just chronological right in one location is going to save a lot of time because you're not switching back and forth between multiple things. And if we can continue to build new features that fit into that, new features that make it easier to stay in one place, then I think it'll be really successful.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we got some feedback, like I would say maybe like 2 months ago, where they're like, hey, This Perfectly has they came up with like a new like express thing, and they're like, why don't you guys incorporate that? And you have to like know which feedback to like listen to and which one to kind of like, you got to stick to your vision, right? And we kind of had a discussion like, hey, should we kind of try to do that? But we stuck to our vision where our goal is really to have everything in one place. So that's a big difference about us.
Cool. All right. So if people want to get your app, where can they get it?
So they can just go to our website. It's vendoo.co. It's vendoo.co. And then they'll just see a button right in the top corner that says register, and they can just easily create an account. If they do it now, they'll have about a month and a half to use it for free, which is good. So they should jump on there immediately right after they finish watching this and create an account. But that's
Also,
the easiest way to start. Go ahead, Tommy.
Sorry, make sure you have Google Chrome, because right now you do need a Chrome extension, so it won't work on any other browser. So just a quick side note about that.
Good to know. Do you guys provide any like training videos for someone who's not very computer or technologically savvy?
We do. So once you register and create an account, you'll get an email automatically that has a video that shows how to create, like how to connect your marketplace accounts, how to get started. And then there's tutorial videos also that we have on our YouTube and on our Instagram account that show you how to list an item start to finish. They show you how to use the import feature. And as we develop new features and add them to the software, we'll always make an instructional post or a video that shows users, hey, this is how you delist, or this is how you relist, or whatever the feature may be. We have some type of content out there that explains it.
Exactly. You can also find it on our Instagram, and actually also if you like YouTube us on, YouTube Vendoo, you can see some users that have even put up some tutorials about us. So that's another way.
So you could just basically go on YouTube and do a search for VNDO.
VNDO, yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. All right. And so are you guys, is this a desktop computer app only, or can you also use it on your cell phone?
Sure. So you can use it on your cell phone, but there are some limitations. Basically, if you wanted to post onto Poshmark or Mercari, you do need to do it from your from Google Chrome on your computer. But to post on eBay and Etsy, you can do it from your cell phone. And also, I know lots of people, what they do is they have the pictures on their phone. So what they'll do is they'll start a draft using Vendoo on your phone, save that draft, and then continue it on your computer. So I know that's a little hack that people have been doing.
Yeah, that's actually
we also want to use it. Yeah, we do want to get a mobile app, but as mentioned, always starting. We're just starting, so that'll be coming soon.
Coming up. Yeah. Josh, were you saying something?
I was saying that's basically how I use the Vendoo on mobile. Is I just create all my drafts ahead of time from my phone. So I just upload all the photos. I know a lot of people they don't use cameras. They might use their cell phone to take their pictures of their items. So I have all the pictures in my camera roll, and I'll just create the drafts, and then I'll get on my computer later and just finish the listings that way.
That's like a hack.
It's a hack. You can upload the images in 5 seconds or something, and then have all your images for your items already in inventory. So when you log into Vendoo from your computer, everything's there already. Then you just fill out the form and send.
Wow. I did have another technical question. I'm not so familiar with the import function. When you say import, like what exactly does that mean?
Sure. So that's if you already have like an existing listing on like Poshmark or eBay, and you want to cross post that to the other marketplace. We'll grab that information into our system, and then that information will be already there. So you just go onto the other marketplace on the side tab, and it'll all be filled out, and you just fill out whatever's missing, and it'll cross post onto.
That's amazing.
So
that is so cool. All right, thanks for explaining that, Thomas.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about your service?
I think the main thing is that we kind of thrive on seller feedback and interaction. I know when we put up a lot of videos or a lot of Instagram posts, and we're really asking for feedback, and we want to know what you guys think, because while you guys are using the software for free, the value that we're getting is the information of what people like, what they don't like, what they want to see, and things like that. So in reality, we have a skeleton. We have our own roadmap, but we're letting the sellers fill it in, right? So we might think something's important to build now, and they might tell us, no, that's not important right now. What's really important is this. So without that feedback, I think we can make a lot better product for you guys the more interactive you are with us. So if we put up a new feature, test it all day and let us know, hey, I hate it. It doesn't work. It's breaking. I'm getting an error, so that we can get on there and fix it quickly. But those type of things are really what are pushing our development. So we really like to feel like the users are building the software with us, and it's not just us building it for them.
Yeah, it's a community pretty much. So we're part of this community, and we care. We want to make the best product out there. So that's the best thing to do. Just give us feedback and we'll build it.
And is the tool only available in the US or is it international too?
So I mean, you can access it, but I know like you can't post on Poshmark Canada. You can post on eBay. They have the global shipping, so you can post it like that. Mercari, I know Mercari, they don't even let you like access it if you're not like in the US. So yeah. So we're pretty much US based, I would say, in short. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna ask a couple final questions, just about you guys. Do you have what's your favorite hobby outside of reselling?
You want to go?
I'm like putting you guys on the spot.
Sure, I'll go. So I mean, I love sports. I like playing basketball, working out, soccer, all sports. So that's kind of my hobby.
Yeah, I'm a fashion guy, so I guess I shop a little bit more than I should. And then I like to play sports also, so I play basketball a few times a week and things like that. But I also like to travel. I think everybody on our team likes to travel. We don't have as much time for that at the moment, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to start traveling a little bit more. But those are mainly what we're into outside.
We're actually all pretty alike. We all like sports. We all like traveling, so it's a great team. We all get along super well. So.
Oh, what a wonderful team. And when you guys like to source your items, do you go to North?
So personally, what I usually do is Nordstrom Rack, or also find stuff online, wear it a couple times, and then just sell it for like either the same price or even more. So that's actually kind of how I got into reselling, just to be able to afford my addiction to clothing and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more hardcore. I like to dig. I like getting my hands dirty. So I'm a thrifter. I'll thrift for hours and hours. I'll go to the bins. I'll go to yard sales. I'll go to estate sales. I'll go to sample sales, secondhand stores, consignment. I'll shop literally everywhere that there's good items to be found. I buy wholesale from people. Just any way that I can find good items, preferably in large quantities at one time. That's kind of my go-to. But thrifting for me is almost therapeutic because I've been doing it for so long that I can just put my headphones in and thrift. I can be in the thrift store for hours and hours. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's hard to this is a hobby, right? Like it's hard to find a hobby outside of this because it's kind of its own hobby.
Mm-hmm.
No, we've gone on when we go to we went to I didn't go to Podfest, but I've gone on trips with Josh, and it's admirable on how he thrifts and finds stuff that I will easily just be like, how did you know that this is worth money, So it's great seeing that. So yeah.
Now my next question is, what is the most profitable item you've ever sold?
I think one of my favorite flips, this was probably 10 years ago in New York City, but I found a pair of these Nike Air Maxes. For all the sneakerheads listening, they were Kid Robot Air Maxes. So they were very limited to maybe only a few hundred pairs made. And I found a pair in a thrift store for $8, and I ended up selling them for $1,500.
What? That's awesome.
That was one of my favorite sales. I've had a lot of comparable ones, but that's probably my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thomas, you're so impressed with Josh's thrifting skills.
I think I should have gone first because now mine's gonna no, my biggest flip has only been I don't know, a profit of 100, 150. I think I bought a shirt on Nordstrom Rack for $50, sold it for 200. That's my biggest flip. So
that's pretty good.
It's good. It's a nice little profit for 15 minutes of work. So it's good.
Did you know that when you bought it, that it was worth $200?
Yeah, so I'm pretty like I know about brands like men's brands. Unfortunately, I don't know much about women's, but I know men's brands. I know what brands like sell goods and stuff like that. So that's always helpful.
I actually just thought of something that went back to a previous question that you asked. You were asking how the reselling industry has changed kind of just over the years I've been doing it. And another thing that stuck out to me that I just remembered is that when I was originally thrifting and reselling, I didn't have all these ways on my phone to look up items right there on the spot, right? So now I think it's a lot more easier for sellers to be in a thrift store, come across a brand that they're not familiar with and do some research on it in 30 seconds, where they can check comparable listings on eBay or different sites and see how much it's selling for and things like that, where I was relying a lot more on my gut feeling and brands that I was familiar with. So that means I was probably leaving a lot of money in the store back then and didn't know it. But technology and the different advancements of being able to scan barcodes and do things like that have made it a lot easier to make sure that you're buying the correct items or items that you can make adequate profit off of.
That is so true. Like there's so many videos out there now, or even if you just follow accounts on Instagram to like get educated on what sells and for how much. So yeah, that's a really good point.
And that's also something we want to get into. We also want to help in that part too. But
wow, that would be awesome. That's needed.
Yeah.
Also authenticity of items. I think it was back then before like you were walking around with your phone and it was hard to verify if an item, a designer item or something like that was authentic or if it wasn't, if you couldn't look up a ton of pictures of it or you know what I mean? If you couldn't access that information immediately, you almost were in a position where, do I invest in this piece and hope it's real? Do I go with my gut? So there's a lot of things that technology has been able to make a little bit easier for people that are just getting into the industry now. But I appreciate having to do it that way because it helped me build up a large, I have a Rolodex of brands where I can recognize brands that a lot of people would skim past, or I'm familiar with different types of like made in the USA vintage items or things like that, that a lot of people wouldn't really realize have a lot of value to them or have a large high demand in the Japanese market or something like that. So I was able to accumulate a lot of knowledge because I had to do trial and error on a lot of different items instead of just relying on technology to tell me what to buy and what not to buy.
I mean, imagine putting your Rolodex in that feature that you're thinking of making. That would be very different. Like it'd be cool if you could download it though. to the program. All right. So what is your favorite platform to sell on and why?
I can take that one first. So my favorite platform to sell on, I really like selling on Grailed, just because Grailed is probably the closest to my personal style and the items that I wear and sell. It's like a good match for me. I think if I sold majority of women's items, I would probably feel more comfortable on Poshmark or something like that. But because I sell menswear, I sell streetwear, designer, I sell vintage menswear things, and they do really well for me on Grail because that's my demographic of buyer. But I still understand that there are some buyers on all these other sites, so I still want my items there as well. But I think Grail would probably be my home base.
Yeah, mine is also Grilled. Just like Dizzy said, it's kind of my demographic. Also like shopping on Grilled, so that also helps. You know, it's an excuse to get on. But actually, surprisingly, like Poshmark has been really good to me, like selling men's clothing. People buy at full price, so it's always, I mean, that's always great. You know, like I think all the items I sold were all at full price for Poshmark, so I definitely appreciate that.
That's what we noticed.
Wow,
too.
I think
That's
for
awesome.
the men's item,
they
don't really negotiate much.
Yeah. That one difference.
But right. I do like Poshmark for the fact that it's so it's very community based. So a lot of it is based around sharing people's closets, attending those posh parties and things like that. So there's a lot more interaction on that site than on other sites. You'll get a lot more offers, a lot more questions because it's a pretty community oriented. Whereas on some of the other sites, you'll get buyers, but they'll be fewer and farther between just because Poshmark is kind of, they encourage talking to other sellers and interacting with other people's closets and things like that. So you can easily make offers, you can accept offers, you can have conversations and all these things that get you closer to a sale. So I appreciate Poshmark for that. And also that their offers are binding is one thing that I really enjoy about Poshmark, because as soon as someone makes you an offer, if you accept it, it's done, it's over. Which is a little bit of it's an easier process than sites like Grailed or eBay, where someone makes you an offer and you still have to cross your fingers and hope they pay.
Yeah, exactly. I hate that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Been there.
Yeah, no, it's true about the difference in the communities across platforms, and definitely Poshmark is very unique on its own, and we absolutely love Poshmark as well. We noticed at the event at Poshfest, there's a lot of sellers that only sell on Poshmark. Would you guys recommend that they diversify and attempt selling at other platforms? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think using Vendoo definitely, just because there's no reason, like it's just like maybe like 3 more clicks to post on another marketplace. So I mean, definitely if you're gonna use like Vendoo, definitely do cross post just because it's so easy. Now if you're not using Vendoo, I think it's gonna be, you know, a little bit more of a headache, more clicks, you know, more tabs, more messages you have to keep track of. So depends also, like, you know, how much you want to scale. Do you want to stay part-time? Do you want to take it a little bit the next step? So I think those are kind of the questions you gotta like ask yourself. But I definitely, you know, if you want to sell more, you got to be on more platforms. So yeah,
I think my philosophy is basically I want as many people as possible to see every item that I have for sale. So I might have really great items posted. I might have 500 great items posted, but the person that wants one of those items might be on Etsy, and those items aren't on Etsy. So I missed that sale. So I think as long as you create the maximum amount of visibility for your items, it always gives you a better chance of taking the pressure off of relying on one platform. I was setting sales goals for myself, whether it was a dollar amount per day or a number of items per day that I was trying to sell. And that became a lot easier when I can sell a few on each platform instead of trying to make all those sales on one. So
yeah, and especially like after.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, sorry. After the eBay glitch, that was something that like showed lots of people, you know, like people weren't getting sales on eBay because of the glitches. You know, buyers couldn't find your items, and it's also something like you got to remember, like if something happens, let's say like, you know, like Poshmark goes down for like 3 days, you know, that could be, you know, like $1,000 worth of sales or stuff, something like that. So you always have to diversify. Yeah, exactly. So definitely.
Those are excellent points, you guys. Yeah, so if you are only selling on Poshmark, I mean, definitely we recommend that, just what Josh and Thomas said, diversify, because that's so true. Like one platform can go down, Facebook can go down, Instagram can go down, and you want to make sure that you don't lose money for that. I had one last question. Do you guys sell on Amazon at all?
I don't.
I'm familiar with Amazon, but I don't sell on it. I almost started an Amazon business at one point, and it was so time consuming, and there were so many qualifications and different things, and it's so different from all those other sites that I felt like it didn't fit into the sales business that I'd already created. I kind of would have had to abandon all my other marketplaces and really focus on Amazon as the primary one, and I wasn't ready to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I just know.
thank you so much. We definitely want to make sure our other followers and resellers out there know about your platform, because this is such a pain point for a lot of people, and using this tool would definitely help them. So thanks for joining this little podcast with us.
No, thank you for having us. It was great.
You guys are a pleasure to talk to, and you're so approachable. Thank you so much for that. And you're both very wise, savvy businessmen. And we're so grateful that you have created this wonderful tool, and we can't wait to see how you grow it. And we're happy to be a part of your community.
Thank you. Keep in touch. We're going to be BFFs now.
PFFs. No, I'm just kidding. Take care.
All right.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
Thank you.
You have a great night. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Marina.
I'm Michelle.
And this is the Flipping Gals podcast. We like to go to garage and estate sales and look for treasures. We also like to gather collectors and resellers alike and provide them with valuable information about products, many of them vintage, and share tips about how to get started and make some extra side money doing what we do. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Like, share, and direct message us during the week if you want to talk to us or even have questions about getting started on reselling yourselves.